idea of Cat and Driscoll, if she wins, that brings a whole bunch of insanity.
But anything can happen.
Yeah. I love it all the time.
I'm going to cheat a little bit this morning, John.
Oh?
I'm going to broadcast the game on my phone. So we can
good.
see what you're shooting.
Good idea, yeah.
You know? I don't know if there's a delay, but...
And it's weird that they don't have the screens on there.
I'm going to turn it on.
Yeah.
Oh, is this our sheet?
Oh, yeah, that should be for our sheet there, yeah. Hey. Gotta love when you have people, Tracy.
Not
Yeah.
on the back, just on the very side, no on the hand side at the top.
There we go. Yeah.
And that's what you do. There you go. Alright, but that's for this end there. We'll probably want to have it set for the other end there early. Alright, yeah, this is whatever side's down, it's the other side. Oh, the other one.
The 2 ends, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just get this set. Check. 1, 2. Check. Whoops. You're a little bit twisted there. Okay. Should I be able to hear myself on this? For some reason, it's not. It's not coming
Check
through.
1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah.
Can you hear him?
Check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. Okay. Also helps because we can get to see when we go live.
Yeah. Just figured it would work.
Might be a bit delayed though.
So you'll do all the intros.
I'll do all the intros.
I'll try to focus on other games too so I can recap.
Oh yeah, no worries. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the Dartmouth Curling Club on a beautiful Friday morning, a little bit of a crisp Friday morning here in Dartmouth, as it is Draw 6 action of the 2020 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts, here presented by 360 Live, powered by Bell 5. John Seitman here, joined alongside by Joe Baker for the call of the Mary Mattatall rink, skipped in this event by former world senior champion Colleen Pinkney, facing off against the 2-3 Mary McKetton Driscoll rink out at the Mayflower. The team's just finishing up their draws to the button, so I'll bring in my broadcast colleague Joe. Joe, a few thoughts as we are just about to get started about how the event's been going so far?
I think it's been going good. A lot of great curling at the club. Lots of people out. We had some people out in the stands the other night when I was here. Excited for today, especially the men's draw this afternoon, because that's the one that takes all the marbles. This is a somewhat important game. I think the bigger game is on E right now between Arsenal and Hillard, so we'll keep a close eye on that one for you.
Yeah, definitely a few possibilities for interesting tiebreaker scenarios there, as McKett and Driscoll currently sit with a 2-3 record, but have of course the women have 2 games to play. Potentially the loser of the game on E, which is Marianne Arsenault and Tanya Hilliard, if they were to drop either of their 2 games, that actually drop both their 2 games, that could bring anyone at 3 losses into play toward potential tiebreaker scenarios coming up on Saturday. So as we get started, we see Caitlin Veach for Team McKett and Driscoll settle into the hack. That will mean that Team Mary Mattatall, skipped by Colleen Pinckney, won the last stone draw and will have the hammer in end number 1.
Looks like it's a nice shot, perfect center guard. Looks like it's on first thing. Not going in the house, making an easy end for themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see a little bit of the difference in style between the format that the women's teams here in the Scotties event versus the men's tankard, where they've been a little bit more conservative in the women's games here, not starting off with as many rocks in play, at least based on what I've seen.
Yeah, they're probably more comfortable with the ice, is where they've played, 5 games here now? This is draw number 6? Yeah, they're definitely more comfortable with the ice. That always helps, gives them comfort on the ice, you know what's happening. I think that's a little short. She will probably like that in, but top 4. So Driscoll's going to go around the other side, probably put this top 4, hopefully. The Driscoll team's actually been great at Mayflower this year. They've actually had a couple of workshops for all the club curlers. So I got to know a few of them through one of the workshops. They tried to help my game. Probably wasn't real successful, but they tried.
Sweeper's working on this one. Try to get by, does nudge off of their guard at center line. Comes the rest top of the 8.
Yeah, I think it's just, a couple inches off the 4. They'd like to hit and roll right now, I would think.
So opportunity here for Andrea Saunier, the lead for Team Mattatall.
It looks like it was inside the way they jumped that early with the sweeping.
Sweepers working on this one, Cutcliffe and Alco Holland.
Oh, if they're liking it, you can tell by the way they're half sweeping it. It's not bad. They probably would have liked a little bit more of a roll, get fully behind cover. I don't think the roll's there now by the look of it. No.
Yeah, so calling on Bridget McPhail to play the hit, roll over to the open side. McPhail, I believe, in a new addition to this lineup there after for a while curling. I believe at one point there was with Christy Gamble, and then it moved over a few years ago to play with McKett and Driscoll.
They move around quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
It seems like everybody here has played with somebody off another team at some point.
And that's really something that you see a lot ever since like the introduction of like the Olympic cycle. There, pretty much about every 4 years, you start to see little
trying to find that right mix.
That right mix there in the lineup for sure.
You know, Bridget used to play in our Monday Night Club League at Mayflower, so I got to know her through there. I think she's a chiropractor during the day.
Sweeper's working on this one here.
Yep, trying to keep it straight with the one person sweeping. I think they have nose.
A little bit of a roll to the outside. As we see McPhail settle in, we'll just let you know again the other 3 games in play here on a Friday morning on sheet B, Jill Brothers currently holding a 3-2 record in 4th place, facing off against the red-hot 5-0 Colleen Jones ranked a little bit turning back the clock there with the former world champion, undefeated so far through 5. On sheet C, our other feature game with Pam Sullivan and Selena Thompson. It is Julie McAvoy currently sitting at 0-5, facing off against, that is which one is that? That is Teresa Breen. My apologies there. And Breen sits at 1-4. And of course the other big game on sheet E is Marianne Arsenault, the former champion there at 4-1, sitting in 3rd place, facing off against the 2nd place team Tanya Hilliard, also at 4-1. We'll try to keep you up to date throughout this exciting draw. 6 of action, 2 women's games and 1 men's game to decide it all.
Yeah, the game on sheet E is important because the team that wins guarantees a playoff spot.
Absolutely.
If I looked at that correctly.
Yeah, with that they would solidify a spot there in the semifinals. Potentially a chance at the finals depending on
Colleen
if Colleen were to lose to Jill Brothers.
I think I was talking to Nancy or Kim Kelly earlier during the provincials, and she was telling me that they have their world championship team put together for the seniors this year.
Yep,
so
they
that
do.
should be exciting.
Yeah, that will be at the Truro Curling Club as the team of Jones, Kelly, Arsenault, and Delahunt make their return.
I think is Mary Ann Arsenault's moving, I think, isn't she, to BC after the season?
I have not heard that, but I do know Mary Ann was the youngest of their World Championship 4, and from what I'd heard there with interviews on TSN, they were waiting for the youngin of the team to make her way up into the senior ranks just in time there. So that will be a treat for any of the curling fans who pop by the Truro Curling Club coming up for the Provincial Senior Championship.
Do you know the dates for that?
I do not. I believe it's coming up. I think it's and I'm guessing it's toward the early part of February, if I remember correctly, though. So on the third stones here,
Was it
Team Mattatall.
Mark Cutcliffe throwing that one? I'd like to get this buried behind that. Doesn't look like it's curling, though. Maybe a tad heavy.
Sweeper's not touching this one here.
Driscoll see if she can take it out the back. Looks like she will. Yeah, a little heavy.
And thanks to our timing supervisor there up here, Kathy McKetton, she let me know there the provincial seniors coming up in 2 weeks, so that would be coming up, I believe, February 7th to the 9th that weekend. So that will be an exciting event at the Truro Curling Club. Third stones here, Jessica Daigle. Calling on it to go. Raises the yellow in and looks like it will settle at right out.
A little too heavy.
A little bit too heavy on that one.
So Mark, they're going to try play that same shot. Hopefully about 5 feet less weight. Should be good. She knows the path now. How's the speed on the ice has been holding up for them?
It really has. They've been pretty consistent all week and holding nice and fast, like you really want for an event like this, especially when you're hopefully going to be representing Nova Scotia at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts and the Tim Hortons Brier. You want to be ready for that arena ice speed.
I'm going to test your research. Where's the Scotties at this year?
The Scotties is that is. I'm trying to remember that one there.
I don't know.
I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Mr.
Go into our lovely commentary guide. That okay. It is at Mosaic Place in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I don't think your book has that page there.
Oh, you have all that information?
Yeah, I have all that fancy information there.
I never got all that. Okay.
So yeah, exciting opportunity for the winner of this event to head off to the
And the men's?
National Scotties and the men's at the Leon Centre in Kingston, Ontario.
Okay. I think we're due to get another one, something down here soon. What was the last thing here? Worlds?
Last thing here was actually the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, where it was held at Centre 200 in Sydney.
Yeah, but in Halifax, it's been the
Halifax
Worlds.
last one was the World Championships there in 2015. Of course, who can forget there Nicholas Edin winning the title in a dominant performance at Scotiabank Centre. Sweepers working on this one here. Skip Stone from Maquette and Driscoll.
Looks good. I think she got a piece of it. Is she going to stick around?
Will get the hit. Rolls out. Good execution there from the skip out of the Mayflower. So now we see our first look at Colleen Pinckney, the skip for this event of the Mattatall rink. A former world senior champion, jumping in place of the skip Mary Mattatall, currently coaching Team Taylor Stevens at the New Holland Canadian Junior Championship in Langley, BC. That team holding a 7-1 record in second place in the championship pool. We wish them the best of luck. It looks like they'll be playing on the weekend.
It's kind of interesting that in the curling world that you sometimes get a chance to play against these world champions. Because I played against Colleen just after she won a world championship in the Bondsville up in Truro at the time. I was never so nervous in my life as playing a game. And the same, we played Alan O'Leary after he won his world championship. It's just, that doesn't happen in too many sports where you get that chance. Because they'll come down, these curlers will come down and they'll play the odd club event, which is, I think it's great for the club curlers that they get out there.
And especially to get to learn from some of these amazing minds of the game, because like back when I was in juniors, it was I believe it was Jill Brothers' team came and did a clinic there with our junior program here at the Dartmouth Curling Club, and like just to get to talk through some stuff there with some of these great curlers.
I think it's good for these guys to get out and talk to the people, the club curlers too, especially when it comes to sponsorship, because the sponsors are very important to them. As you look at most of the jackets out there, they all have multiple sponsors that they rely on to help them get through the season. And a big shout out, thank you to all those sponsors for supporting these curlers.
And of course, we can't forget their Deloitte and Scotties, their title sponsors of this event. Great supporters of curling in Nova Scotia. Final stone here for Maquette and Driscoll without the last rock and number 1.
Sweeper's giving that it's a little up. I think she's got a piece of it.
Gets a little bit of a nudge. Will remove the blue of Mattatall. Rolls out. So clean house to face Colleen Pinckney. Probably going to just throw it through, I believe, probably, and retain the last rock going into end number 2.
Yeah, these guys just don't throw it through without a purpose, though. She wants to see this line, what it's going to do with a hit weight.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I'm not sure what turn she's throwing.
Every one of these shots is very much a learning opportunity for these curlers. They're, of course, coming up with just a few more rounds to go. Final stone.
She's throwing the in-turn. Well, updates from the other sheets? There are no updates because we have the quickest game right now, John.
Yeah, looks like we're the fastest ones out on the ice there. It will be a blank end here, end number 1. So Mary Mattatall's team there, the Colleen Pinckney rink, will retain the last rock going into end number 2. So we'll definitely encourage any of you tuning in that if you're in the area, want to come on down and watch some exciting curling action, we're here at the Dartmouth Curling Club on Canal Street, downtown Dartmouth. There will be action coming up at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock today, and then playoffs coming up tomorrow, and then of course the championship finals on Sunday. Expected to be a packed crowd, very enthusiastic crowd as always, to watch the big championship finals. Of course, this Dartmouth Curling Club been in existence since 1936. Lots of historic events in the curling world happened at this club.
Who's the oldest in the city? Halifax? Halifax is the oldest.
Yeah, they were founded 1824 there.
Then Mayflower, not where it is now, but there was a version of Mayflower in the early 1900s?
Yes, there was. Here's the interesting fact that you may have not known there. The original facility that you're talking about there that existed in the early 1900s was actually used in the recovery efforts from the Titanic.
Yeah, I think it was, you know where I think it's an Army Navy surplus store on Agricola, I want to say?
Yeah, I believe that was around where the
that
old
was
facility
the first one was. I made the mistake of reading the history of Mayflower book and seeing how it used to thrive in the day.
So it's like another pretty open-end setting up here. A few exchanges of hits early.
So an update from Sheet E, the game we're kind of half watching. Arsenault scored 3 in the first end, so she's up 3-0 after 1 against Tanya Hilliard.
Sweeper's working on this one here. Daigle sweeping this one for correction for Veach. My apologies. Gets a hit, rolls into the house. Will it remove? It will. Clean house though.
So the Jones brothers game, if Colleen wins that, she clinches first. Am I right?
Yeah,
so
she
she'll get the
would
bye right
clinch
to
first
Sunday.
and have to bye right to the final.
I wonder if they'll like that. Some teams like that bye, some teams would rather play.
And actually, to be perfectly honest, the past few years it has not really helped the team there that has won first place, because when you think about last year, it was Jill Brothers, and she came through, I believe, through tiebreaker, right through tiebreakers there, because Marianne Arsenault was the one that are in the bye to the final. And it also didn't help Jamie Murphy as well last year, because Stewart also came through tiebreakers to get the title.
I think it's a lot depends on the schedule and the tightness. If you've played a lot of games in a short period of time, I think you want that bye. But if you're playing games like this where they're only playing 2 games every second day, I think they're more rested. So I don't think I would want, I don't know, I've never played at this level, but I don't think I would want the bye. Although it's nice to know you only have to win that one more game to win the title.
And it's also a bit of the familiarity with the how the ice is moving closer to those really critical games there. Because like you had Thompson going through tiebreakers there, he got to play 2 additional games there going into the playoffs. That extra little bit of ice time can make the biggest difference.
Yeah, if there's a change in the ice, they're going to pick it up quicker than the team that's been sitting for 2 days. So we got a corner guard and a center guard. Colleen looks like she wants to go around her corner now.
As you see this stone from Alco Holland. Update of the game on B. Colleen Jones with a single in the first end against Jill Brothers. Brothers will have the last rock in end number 2 over there. And Julie McAvoy leads Teresa Breen 1-0.
I think that just went a little, a little long. They're having no problem finding jar weight right now.
Yeah, and that could be a little bit accounted for with the conditions there this morning. A little bit cooler for the morning than we've had the past few days. So the outside conditions affect the conditions inside a little bit as well. Sweeper's not even touching this one here from McPhail. Looks like it's going to probably sail right through.
Colleen working hard on it. I think that's through, though. Yeah. Now it's a battle of who can find draw weight first.
Absolutely. Well, I think for our viewers that may not be as familiar with how this event runs, usually I like to give a rundown on the rules so that people know it is 10 ends of play, 38 minutes of thinking time, and then if we're tied at the completion of that, we would play an extra end to decide the winner.
What's your thoughts on going to 8 ends for everything?
It really depends there. I like the 8-end format, but for an event like these ones where it leads to the Scotties and the Briar, there's that extra little bit of tradition to it. So I'm one of those ones.
Traditionalist?
I'm on the middle. I can see both sides of it. To me, there the 10-end game, you're a little bit more conservative than you would for like the 8-end game, where you can't take as many as what I would call it nothing end there, like to be able to like carry over time there. Because you see a lot of ones in the 10-end game, they'll play a quick one just to be able to conserve time for later stages of the match.
Yeah, it doesn't make for interesting curling when they do that. Looks like we got a nice shot here. Oh, I think I might have curled a little too much on him.
Looks like it will over curl into the 12-foot there. Shot zone will belong to Team Mattatall.
So Colleen's going to take advantage of the center guard now and try to come around it. I don't know if I'm, as a viewer, I think I like 8 ends better. I know it's over just over 2 hours. As a player, doesn't really matter because we're lucky if we get 8 ends in most nights. I know if it was a late draw on a Wednesday night, 6 ends, yep, good with 6 ends. I don't know how the players feel. I think they're on the fence with it. Some go one way, some go the other.
I think I've seen some surveys there that they've talked to the players, and it's pretty much 50-50 pretty much.
Yeah.
A lot of the more experienced tend to go with the 10 ends. There are a lot of the ones who are a little bit the younger curlers on tour tend to be familiar more with the 8-end style like you would see on the World Curling Tour.
So that was a lovely draw right to the tee line. Might be a few inches deeper than she wanted it. We're going to see if they can come down and sit on top of that and take this rock away. Try to limit the one anyways.
Sweepers working on this one here. McPhail and Veach for Daigle. Looks a little bit
I think they're liking it.
good here. Gotta go, girls. There you go.
There you go. That's a good shot.
Great result.
Colleen's going to run that guard now.
And one of these things on the topic of the rules there that is also very interesting this year is, of course, moving now into the 5-rock free guard zone versus the 4-rock rule there that many of these teams have been familiar with over the years. A lot of people say it's a little bit more aggressive in format. I would tend to agree. A little bit more opportunity to manufacture offense.
Yeah, it's interesting the 5-rock rule at the club level. It really doesn't change things a whole lot, other than you have to pay attention. I can't hit till the 6th rock, because club teams, their front ends are not the best at clearing out the rocks anyways, so you're always dealing with a bunch of guards at the club level. At this level, I like the 5-rock rule.
Oh, absolutely. And it gives more teams the opportunity to come back there, especially when a 3-shot lead there would be manageable to come back with a few ends there, just simply with being able to utilize those extra corner guard or two and really put some pressure on.
Now, on the other hand, it is a skill to peel rocks the way these guys can peel rocks.
Oh, 100%.
You know, but it's just, it gets a little, as a spectator, it's not the most interesting thing to watch.
So Mary and Jessica having a bit of a discussion on this one here, looking at the possibility of, it looks like utilizing their stone that they just froze onto there, play a little bit of a...
I think they want a little bit of a roll. They want to hit this and roll the shooter.
Hit and roll there. Try to remove both blues there, it looks like. Get a little bit of a pop on the stone that they're just going to be throwing now.
I think about a quarter of their rock should do this.
And from what I've seen with some of the games here on Sheet D, this is definitely a makeable shot there. We've seen a few nice little hit and roll style plays like this. McKett and Driscoll here, and number 2.
I think it's going to be a little thick, I think. Oh, no. They might have it. Oh, a little too thin.
We'll remove one blue to sit shot stone. Definitely not what they wanted, though.
Now, I don't know if the viewers can see it, but if you look at the sidelines over on the far edge of the rink on Sheet E, you'll see those are actually the club rocks. These rocks that they're using now are the provincial rocks, and they go event to event.
And that's definitely one interesting thing, because last year I believe it was last summer, they resurfaced these rocks there to give them a little bit more reaction there on the striking bands.
They aren't used a lot either, because they're only used for like provincial events, so they're not like your club rocks that are in constant use, like 8 hours a day, every day.
Yeah, these ones would only go to this event, and I believe there's only about 2 or 3 other events there that they would go to in the run of a year, if that.
They had them at the juniors. I don't know if they use them for the travelers events or not.
I think they just use them for the juniors, this, and the seniors.
The seniors?
I think.
Okay. Oh, they used them for the mixed doubles.
Okay, yeah.
Mayflower this year, which was won by Carly Jones and Bryce Everest.
Both playing in this event there.
I've become fascinated by rocks, because a few years ago, Mayflower was making a rock decision, and they, I think it's K's of Scotland. Is it K's of Scotland? That's what these rocks are. Right, so we had a set of these rocks, and then Dartmouth had just got new rocks. So we actually bought a set of their rocks from, I think they're Canada curling stone.
Yeah.
They're different shapes. Like if you look at the rock over on the side, they're much more rounded, whereas the case rocks are much flatter on the side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated by that. I wonder if there's a difference as far as the performance of the rock. Mayflower, we actually voted on the rocks, and our members chose the K's rocks.
Big shot here for McKett and Driscoll, looking for the hit.
It's a nice setup for Colleen right now. Even if she does make the hit on this, Colleen's just going to have a hit for 2.
We'll hit stick right there. Looks to me like it would still be shot stone belonging to Team
Oh, she's going to draw.
Mattatall, so just going to need to draw. A full 8 foot is what you need.
Let's see if Colleen has her draw weight yet.
Yeah, definitely something that the experienced former world senior champion Pinckney has not had to do as much during the course of this matchup so far.
It's always nice as I skip on the club level. It's always nice to get a draw in early.
Oh, 100%.
You know? Oh.
I totally agree.
You know, if you're throwing hits for the first 3 or 4 ends and you have to throw a draw, it's like, I have no clue what the weight is.
Sweeper's working on this one here. Needs to go there. Sonia and Alcohol and trying to drag it.
Working hard on it.
Trying to be sure here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and it looks like it will come up just that little bit short. Kind of looks like it surprised him a little bit. something that they'll take into later stages of this game, but it will be a single point for Team Mattatall to open up their accounts on a Friday morning draw 6. And, excuse me, McKetton Driscoll will have the hammer in end number 3, playing the Yellow Stones. So as we mentioned there, Mary Mattatall, the skip of this Mattatall rink there, not at this Scotties tournament of hearts there, as she's currently coaching Team Taylor Stevens. There's actually a few pretty successful Nova Scotian curlers there in that event, as they are also representing other provinces. They're one of those actually being Carly Burgess, their former Mary Fay and Caitlin Jones, a team member there. She's now out in Manitoba playing with Mackenzie Zacharias. They actually sit at 8-0, and they're actually going to be playing in the gold medal game on Sunday. Opportunity for Carly to earn her 3rd Canadian championship.
With 2 different provinces.
With 2 different provinces. That's absolutely incredible.
So update on E, that second end just finishes. The Marianne Stoll won to go up 4-0 after 2. It's interesting how well we do at the junior level, at juniors.
Oh, 100%.
Whereas when we hit the senior level, the women have had some success. But the men really, well, Mark Dacey did win it there. 2005?
2004 was
2004?
That one, defeating the great Randy Furby in the final.
It seems like there's a bit of a gap now with this World Curling Tour and those Sportsnet televised event. There's always those same teams playing. That it's almost like the playing field's not quite level. You know what I mean? It's
well, like a lot of ones there, it all comes down to teams having the opportunity to access big events there and earn points in order to get into big level competitions.
Get more games on arena ice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the juniors probably don't have that same. The other provinces don't have that advantage over us. I don't know. It's just pure speculation on my point.
Well, one thing there that's been interesting to see is how some of these ones that are graduating from the junior level are now moving up into the adult game here and really excelling quite well. One of those actually being in the men's event, Matthew Manuel.
Yeah.
He won multiple provincial titles there at the junior level, and now sits there. It would be, I think, he's at 3-2, I think, in this event.
Actually 4-2.
Oh, 4-2. Yeah,
4-2.
because he has a chance to advance actually into the playoffs. He does need a win there this afternoon to make his shot possible.
Yeah, the men's final draw is this afternoon at 2, and if Team Murphy loses against Stuart Thompson, it opens up a whole can of worms as far as tiebreakers go.
And that could make it interesting for us broadcasters there, because we could be up bright and early there Saturday morning.
You could be up bright and early here Saturday morning. I'd be honored to do a playoff game, but the weekend's my weekend.
I was pretty fortunate there last year. I got to be here to call both championship finals. Okay. Some exciting moments on Championship Sunday. Who can forget that big final takeout from Stuart Thompson? Crowds on the feet, brooms are up, and Thompson's your champion. Delighting the home crowd. I was talking actually with Colton Steele, and they've been really enjoying having a bit of the home crowd support there. Of course, they play out of this Dartmouth Curling Club.
It was interesting. The one provincial title that I do have, we were playing down at Glooscap in Kentfall. And we were playing a team from Glooscap in the final. Right? And I had to draw the 4-foot. And there were probably about 40, 50 people behind the glass, and probably 47 of them were from Glooscap. So I disappointed them. It felt kind of good. So Colleen's got something big building here. She's got a couple center guards up and one top almost biting the button. Is she on the button? Yeah, got a piece of the button.
So McPhail will need to bail out a little bit, try to clear out some of the front.
Yep, some house cleaning.
Pretty talented with the big weight here on this McPhail, working on it.
She wants to get about a third of the rock here. Make all move.
We'll hit a little bit thin. We'll move one of the blue into the top of the button.
Probably not happy with that result.
But opens it up a little bit for opportunities later in the end.
Yeah. It's just a guard, but it's still a very important shot. There's nothing better as when you're skipping and your lead's making their guards. It's like it makes your life a whole lot easier when they get those guards up.
Actually, that's where it's interesting, because the only time I ever qualified to play in a provincial championship was the provincial high school championship. I was playing lead for the Auburn Drive Eagles.
Okay.
Our first game of the provincials was against the North Colchester Wolves, I believe it was.
Okay.
They were skipped by someone who we've already mentioned on this broadcast there, Carly Burgess.
Okay.
And I curled, I kid you not, about 95%. I was making every guard, every draw that you would ever imagine. And guess what the final score of the game was? 8-1.
You guys won. Yeah,
we lost 8-1.
You lost?
Yeah,
that means the rest of your team must have sucked.
I know we were curling extremely well. You just had one where you have a team running hot.
Yeah.
They can do anything.
Yeah,
it just makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah, you curl 95 and they curl 96.
Actually, that year we had a hard time there, because we only lost 4 games that entire year, and those 4 teams were skipped by Carly Burgess, Mary Fay, Matthew Manuel, and Ryan Abraham, and all 4 of those have gone on to national success there at the junior level.
Yeah, but now you can say you played against them.
Of course.
Yeah, it's always good. I played with Carly. She played in one of our year in Bonspiels one year. She is a pharmacist at the IWK.
Oh, that's Carly Jones there.
Carly Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the Carly you mentioned?
Burgess.
Burgess, okay, that's the one that's up at the...
One Truro, that's up at the... now playing for Team Manitoba.
So what school would she have been with?
She was... at that time in high school, she was playing with North Colchester, but she had a little while she was playing with at the AUS level with the Dow Tigers.
Okay.
Long-time member of the Mary Fay rink there that had
Sounds like she's
great
been around.
success.
Sounds like she's been around forever, but she's still playing juniors.
Yeah.
Well, that was a little deeper than she wanted that. There's a chance to clear all 3 right now by Jessica. I got in trouble during we did our workshop with this team, and I thought Jessica was Emily Dwyer, because they look an awful lot alike.
Yeah, they are pretty similar there.
Yeah.
Gets the hit, removes 2 rolls from the blue to the edge of the 8.
That's not a bad result. You know, they cleared that mess off the center line.
Yeah, actually, Emily is, if you didn't know there, she's actually now working with the World Curling Federation. She's working in their media office as one of the public relations staff for them.
I heard that. Somebody told me that the other day.
Yeah, she was a member of their sport media trainee program, and then got hired on to work for them after graduating from Mount St. Vincent University with her Bachelor of Public Relations.
A lot of traveling, I think she does, doesn't she?
Yeah, she goes to a lot of the big events there. Yeah.
Is she curling at all?
I don't think she is there. She's been working at the World Curling Federation's offices, I believe, over in... I think she's actually over in Europe. I may be wrong. She does go to a lot of the events and promotes the game for the world body there. I suspect that she'll be representing them over in Glasgow there when the World Championships for the men heads there.
We actually were in Vegas a couple years ago when the Worlds were in Vegas, the men's Worlds.
Yeah.
And I volunteered as a scorekeeper. It's always good to volunteer as a scorekeeper because you have probably the best view in the whole rink.
Oh, 100%.
And you hear everything that's going on.
So Daigle gets the hit, rolls to the back of the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I actually, though I didn't get to do it for a CCA event, I did get to volunteer as a scorekeeper when the Grand Slam of curling came to Port Hawkesbury.
Okay.
And of course, I was a big fan of Kevin Martin.
Okay.
So one of the first games there that I got to scorekeep was Kevin Martin versus Brad Gushu.
Wow.
And I sat there, and of course, some of these curlers, unfortunately, they're very into the game there. So sometimes they may forget to signal over what the count was. So it was John Morris and Mark Nichols that were the thirds.
Okay.
I couldn't tell whether it was 2 or 3. And of course, this is televised. And they started to go into the next end, and I'm like, what's going on? So I ended up having to yell over, hey, Johnny, what was the score there? Let's just say John, though we had a pretty good relationship, he was a little bit annoyed there, but we got the score and moved on to the next end.
Macaulay made the little hit and roll, got rid of the Driscoll rock. It was sitting, I think it was back 4. So is this for 2?
Yeah, looks like it would be potentially, could be 2.
It's close.
Yeah.
It might be the yellow. I think it looks like it has a bigger piece at the back of the house than what the blue has on the side. If it's close to put a measure on. Did you see the game last night? Where they had to double measure?
I did not.
There was, I forget, it was 2 of the ladies' teams, and their 2 rocks were so close. I guess they went around with the stick like half a dozen times. Still couldn't determine that they actually went to a second stick.
Oh, wow.
Took the second stick out, and I still think they declared it a tie.
I've never seen that. Usually once you take out one, they just go with it. Their sweeper's working on this one, trying to hold the line.
Yeah.
Will get the hit. Will it stay? It will not. So probably going to have an interesting discussion here. There were 2 stones left to go.
I think Colleen just, I don't know, yeah, she probably want to take this out.
Yeah.
Be the force either way. If she sat there or not. She's forcing Driscoll to take her 1. Not a lot of action on the other sheets right now. On sheet B between Brothers and Jones. Jones is still up 1-0. They're playing in the 3rd end. They had a blank end in the 2nd. Sheet C, McAvoy is up 1-0. They 2 had a blank end in the 2nd end. They're playing in the 3rd end over Breen. And Arsenal Hiller are playing in the 3rd end, and Arsenal is up 4-0. She'd like to hit and stick on this to get the force.
Sweeper's working on this one here. Sonia and Alcohol and trying to hold the line.
I think they're going to be good.
We'll get the hit. Looks like he's just out.
Ooh.
At least based on the camera angle that we're seeing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you'd have to put the stick on that.
It's one of those ones there where they do before the events measure all the houses just to be sure in case there's any question on certain spots. But fortunately, from what I know there, Tracy Froud and his team have a pretty true-looking surface for sure.
Now Driscoll, I would think this rock is out in the back, so they're going to play the hit and probably try to roll out on this.
Yeah, try to blank the end.
Yeah. So they think that rock out in the back is out.
It'll be interesting though to see. Maybe they may be trying to. They may. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, they could be trying to hit, but it's a hard hit and stick or get that inside roll when it's that far out.
Yeah. having that last little bit of discussion. Maquette and Driscoll. Final stone here in end number 3. Facing what appears to be 1. Looking for the blank.
Throwing the out turn.
Gets
Oh,
the hit.
Oh, that one's out. They're looking at this blue, though.
They may be bringing out the... Yep, I see the umpire already picking up the 6-foot measuring stick and making her way over to the other end.
Now, I don't know if the rule's still applicable, but the rule used to be that in the first few rocks, you could bring that stick out to determine if a rock was in the house or not in the house.
Yes, you can do that as long as it's within the free guard zone.
Yeah, so that's still applicable.
Rule there. One of those rules, unfortunately, I've never had the pleasure of being able to utilize.
We've been close a couple times, but
So we'll see here.
if it touches its end, slide by. Oh, they're looking close. I would say that was out.
Oh, no.
Oh.
It's in. So it will be a steal of 1, making it a count of 2-0 in favor of Mary Mattatall over Mary Maquette and Driscoll. After 3 ends of play, and Maquette and Driscoll will retain the last rock in end number 4, playing the Yellow Stones.
So in hindsight, which is 2020, it was probably not a good decision to take out that one over in the 12. You know?
Well, it's one of those ones there that if both of those two were counting, you really... It was tough either way.
Yeah.
You probably weren't removing both there.
Yeah, I think at that point you just decide, just draw the rings.
Yeah, which one's the easier one?
Yeah, I wouldn't even have touched it. I would have been drawing.
Yeah.
You know, as a skip, you have to have that confidence that you can at least put it in the house. We need to put it in the house.
Absolutely.
Are you going to make it all the time? Nope. But you have to have that confidence that you are going to make it.
Oh, 100%.
This is coming a little deep. She wanted to go top 8. It's going to go back 8, probably even 12. She might ignore this completely and put a guard up. Yep, she's going to put up a corner guard.
Oh, looks like another steal of 1 for Marianne Arsenault. So that will be a 5-0 lead over on E. That game looking like it could be potentially almost nearing a conclusion before really it even begins.
How come we tend to always get the long games?
Well, all I know is that it helps the viewers at home because they get to see some of the action there rather than having to check the results updates on nscurl.com afterwards.
Yeah. So update on sheet C. Breen did score a deuce in the 3rd end. So she is now up 2-1 on McAvoy playing in the 4th end.
And that's our other feature game there with Pam Sullivan and Selena Thompson.
My Mayflower buddies.
Yeah.
Both very active at Mayflower.
Yeah. I haven't had the pleasure to call a game yet with Selena this year. Last year were pretty common to be heard on the microphones of this provincial championship.
I know Selena's on the board at Mayflower. She's in charge of like sponsorship and oversees the entertainment. And Pam is very involved with the juniors. I think the juniors is very much her thing at Mayflower. I don't know if she's on the board with it this year. She's very involved.
Yeah, longtime junior coach there. She coached it. Actually, I played against one of her charges there at the provincial under 18s a few years ago. That was Justin Gray in his rink there out of the Mayflower.
Yeah, I think she's still coaching them.
That was a long game there, as we see there. Veach drawn to the back of the 8.
Yeah, a little heavy.
The thing on that point there, so we were playing Justin Gray there that Pam was coaching.
Okay.
The game started at 8:30 on a Friday night. Guess when the game ended?
I'm going to say midnight, past midnight.
12:30. We ended up, because at that time they had no time limits there on the under 18 play.
Okay.
So we were untimed, and the game was just so tight, and it ended up that around 12:30 was when it ended. It was a 10-8 victory for my team over Justin.
That's why we have shot clock people for these teams.
Thank goodness.
We'd be here a very long time. Even at the club level, there's some teams you just dread playing them. Not that you don't like the people, it's just like, why they take so long to call a shot, right? It's club curling.
And that's
normally
where
there's only 2 or 3 shots normally that you can play. Just pick the one that you're comfortable with, or let the person throwing is comfortable with, and get them to throw it.
And that's where the pace of play in a level like this is so impressive there, because you see some of these ones that are just able to know what they're good at and be able to execute.
Well, what happens at the club level, you have more people deciding on what the shot should be. And when you have more than one person deciding, it just gets messy. There's Peter Scriven, one of the more senior members at Mayflower. His saying is, skipping is not a democracy.
Gets a hit, rolls to the side of the 8 there, McPhail. Currently sitting a count of 2, McKett and Driscoll.
Colleen looking for a hit and roll, I think, or I don't know if she can get both. I think she'd be happy with the hit and roll. Roll on top of that yellow, sitting on the back 8. On the out turn. You know, I really just caught on to, I've been curling for I don't know how many years. I never, till this year, I started paying attention what an out turn is and what an in turn is. I kind of would just look at the berm and you know what turn you need to get the rock to go words. But I never really focused on in turn, out turn till this year. Because it's not something you really need to know the term. Right? These guys use it a whole lot more than at the club level.
Oh, yeah.
But at the club level, if you said, yeah, I want the intern, they would look at you and it's like, okay. And then you get to throw a lefty into the mix, and then it's like, okay, it all changes again. Okay, not quite what Colleen wanted. She would have liked to get the roll, so Miskin Driscoll wants the roll now. You never like to play at the back of the house.
Absolutely.
Because you always give that team the out to draw down to you.
Yeah, lots of opportunities to build up rocks and play with stones toward the back of the house. Sweeper's working on this one here. Veach trying to go here. We'll get the hit rolls to the side.
That's not a bad result either. Makes the roll a little harder. And she's still, I would check the camera, and she's still second shot. So Colleen's trying to decide whether she wants to draw to the 4-foot or play the hit and roll. I think she's asking Marg. No, Marg's coming down and they're going to talk it over.
Yeah, definitely important shot early in this game to have a discussion about. And one point I was going to make actually with this Mattatall rink there is it's interesting to see the experience of all 5 of the ladies on the rink there. Of course, 4 alongside their 5th, Susan Creelman. Long time stalwarts on this circuit there. I think I've seen them almost in every event as long as I've been playing.
It's interesting because I said we did some commentary. I did some commentary at the juniors this year. Juniors, great technique, great skill, but the experience isn't there yet. You know, that's something you can't teach.
Oh, 100%.
You know, it's like you have to play the game. That's where I think Colleen and this Mattatall team, that's where they probably don't, their skill set's probably not as good as some of these younger teams that are in top-notch shape, but they've got that experience. And I think that counts for a whole lot in curling.
Yeah, definitely being battle-tested in the big environments there. Like, I know a lot of these ladies there have been to national championships before, and of course, in the case of especially Colleen, there have been to a few world championships at the senior ranks.
Yeah. I think every bonspiel you play into, your club curling, your weekly curling, it's fun and you enjoy it, and it's good experience, and you learn. But I think playing bonspiels, whatever level the bonspiel is, you learn from that. Because I know I played at my level, I played a few bonspiels at the club and at some other rinks, and you get to some semifinals and you get to the odd final. You don't win anything, but it gives you experience that then you do get to a big final, you've had some experience at what a final feels like.
And that's where actually the changes to this event, where they made it that the top 2 teams on the World Curling Tour for Nova Scotia, with the top 2 most points, earn direct entry into this event rather than having to go through the qualifier process. You really get the teams that have been battle tested on tour.
Yeah. I think it's a little heavy. It's going to set up a pocket. It's going to sit second or third, but it's not what they wanted. They would like that rock in front of the tee line.
Yep, we'll sit, I believe, it looks like third shot if I were to guess, based on our camera angles.
Yeah, I would say third. We're actually going off the little TV that the Dartmouth Curling Club has up on the walls for us to look at both ends. Is this the third year?
Yeah, third year here.
Dartmouth?
After about 3 years there that it was at
Mayflower.
At Mayflower there. And both clubs definitely really making this combined event a real event for the sport of curling in Nova Scotia.
I like the 2 events together.
Oh, 100%.
You know, I think it's so much better that way. And it gives a good schedule to the players. I know if I was playing, it's nice knowing that you're not having more than 2 games a day, and you're only having that every second day.
And as well, from what I remember, and I may be wrong, when it was separate events, they had a bit of a bigger field there, a slightly bigger field, and as a result, it made it that maybe some teams who could get through a qualification process and get through there. Here now you get truly the top of the top.
Yeah. There very much is a point structure for these guys, and what they play, one qualifier now? Or
Yeah.
They have a couple qualifiers.
They have one qualifier where 6 of the spots are determined,
Okay.
and then 2 spots determined as the top 2 teams on the CTRS rankings from Nova Scotia. So teams earn points during a competition on the World Curling Tour and throughout events across Canada, and that earns 2 teams buys into the provincial championships. I believe that was Arsenault and Brothers, I believe.
Yeah, it was Murphy and Stewart at the men's level?
I believe for the men's it was Murphy and Stewart.
Okay. It's interesting, though, the way curling's gone over the last few years, especially since the Travelers has come on board. It seems like we've lost some of the competitive teams. There doesn't seem to be as many competitive teams, whereas some of those teams that weren't quite as competitive have moved into that Travelers slot, right? Not quite as big a commitment, still get a trip to national chance out of it. And I think it's pretty high-level curling at these national events, too, with the Travelers.
Oh, 100%.
Or what used to be the Travelers. I'm not sure what they call it now.
I believe they still call it, at least they called it that a little while ago there. I remember seeing a bit of the action there when the Travelers was at the Mayflower.
Yeah, it was the Travelers then, but I think Travelers has pulled their sponsorship, I think. I don't know. I haven't really followed it. I think Curl Canada covers more of what the Travelers used to cover. I don't know.
Yeah, that was quite an event when it was over at the Mayflower Curling Club.
That was a fun event. I was on the board for that one.
Always fun when these big events come to town.
Travelers put a lot of money into those events. Like the budget for that event was like, oh my God. I think the only fundraising the teams had to do was for, I think there was a charity. I'm not sure who it was back then, but the teams had to raise money, but their flight would be covered, their accommodations would be covered. I think some of their food was covered as well, too. Lots of volunteers for that.
Yeah, and we thank all of the volunteers for all of the work that they do to make events like this happen there. This event there, Lynn Burgess and her team in the third year putting this event on for the Dartmouth Curling Club. Lots of timekeepers, scorekeepers, volunteers in the kitchens there.
So have you ever kept time?
I have not done the timekeeping there before. For this event there, I've only had the pleasure of being up here in the broadcast booth.
Having done all three, timing, scorekeeping, and announcing now, timing would be my least favorite because you have to pay so close attention to what's going on in the game.
100%.
But you don't get to watch the game. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't really get this involved in the strategy and stuff because you're so busy looking for your timing cues for each team that you don't get to actually enjoy the game. As we got distracted from our game, Colleen is now trying to draw down. So she is sitting one on the back four. There's a mess at the back of the house. So she would like to probably go top four buried. Put the pressure on Driscoll.
Yeah, trying to draw a second shot and really put some pressure on, especially with a lot of rocks in play.
The sweepers look like they like it, but is this one sweeper's left? So it looks like it's a little heavy. I think it's going to give them their outs. So Team Driscoll will just want to come down and draw to that and take their one.
So good force opportunity here as Team Mattatall holding their deuce, so will force a draw to a good portion of the forefoot or even to the button.
She does have the backing, which kind of makes it a tad easier, but as throwing it, you don't really want to rely on that backing.
Final stone here, and number 4, Mary McKetton Driscoll looking for the force. Already calling off the sweepers.
I think they need some curl right now.
Needs to curl.
I think they're going to be okay. Yep, just curled up
Gets
and
it.
up.
The hit will get their single point, opens up their accounts 2-1 in favor of Mary Mattatall's rink. They're skipped by Colleen Pinckney, and that team will have the last rock in end number 5 playing the Blue Stones. A reminder that after the conclusion of the 5th end, we'll have a 5-minute break after that. But stick with us, of course. We will have coverage right through to the very last rock as we look to see which of these two teams will come out on top.
Now, I'm watching the game on sheet E right now. It's last rock for Hilliard. They're trying to play a run-back double to knock Marianne off biting the forefoot. And they missed that shot. So Marianne scores another one to go up 6-0.
Wow.
After 4.
Yeah, that game nearing its potential conclusion. Of course, an event like this, you have to play a minimum of 6 ends in the round robin, 8 in the playoffs. So as we get started with this 5th end, we see Caitlin Veach for Team McKetton Driscoll.
McKetton. Okay, I got that now.
Yep.
I didn't want to say in case I messed it up. So McKetton.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, that's where I have the interesting connection actually with this rink because Mary's mother, Kathy, who's the timing supervisor up here, was actually my coach in under 15 and under 18. So, and is also the president of our Lawn Bowls Nova Scotia, which is the provincial sport organization for the sport of lawn bowling. A summer sport that many curlers enjoy in our province.
So do you curl out of do you lawn bowl out of Dartmouth or out of Halifax?
I lawn bowl actually. I'm a member of both Dartmouth and the Wanderers Club over in Halifax. There, primarily though out of Dartmouth, out of the carpet surface over on this side of the harbour.
I got to ask because I've had one experience lawn bowling. Is there a difference between playing on the carpet compared to the real grass?
It's faster on the carpet there. Like the surface is just that little bit quicker. So as a result, you have to have that little bit of added finesse to it.
Is it more consistent?
It depends. Like there's a lot of factors there, like the age of the surface there.
Okay. Whether
they mowed, where it is there.
If they've mowed, would that make a difference?
Yeah, if it's been mowed and rolled there a certain amount of times there, that's always an added factor. So as we get started here with this fifth end, getting back to the matchup, there is a nice place center guard and stone at the back of the 4-foot for McKenton Driscoll, and you'll see Andrea Saunier attempting to draw into the 4-foot as well, it looks like.
Not liking where the sweepers are positioned right now. When the sweepers are that far back, you know it's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, as a skip myself there, I would know there if my sweepers are like stopping halfway down the sheet. Yeah. It's like, you're not through. You're not there.
Yeah. Then the old mind starts spitting, what can we do with this?
Yeah.
Right. So they'd like to go top 4 buried with this.
Yeah, setting up a good opportunity to manufacture the point that they need to get back in to a tied scenario at least, maybe even get a lead. Sheet D they've had the wild sheet there during the games, at least that I've been broadcasting. Lots of big point steals there.
So the game I did Tuesday night was like that between McDougall and Stevens.
Well, the game that I called the game yesterday was the one between Chad Stevens and Andrew Gibson. It was a steal of 4 in the first end, and Team Stevens didn't look back as it was a final score of 8-1.
Yeah, Chad scored 5. I don't remember if he stole or not on those, but he scored 5 against Brent, the 3rd or 4th end on Tuesday. Do you want to double here, or would you rather get the roll?
To me, I think if you're looking at the possibility of forcing, I think you're looking at the roll.
Yeah, I think I would like the roll better too.
Like, you get the roll, and then maybe there's potential for stealing later in the end. Gets the hit, rolls over.
That's a nice shot.
Buried behind cover, good result.
They would like to probably come down, sit, corner freeze on the blue one that was just thrown. Setting something up for a little later.
Bridget McPhail. Sweepers on and off here.
That's close.
Looks like a good execution there from McPhail. Just gets a little bit of a rub. Will sit 2nd and 3rd.
Call it, gonna run that guard. I don't know if we gave the update on sheet C. Teresa Breen did score 2 in the 4th end to go up 4-1 over Julie McAvoy. Did we give that update? I don't remember.
No, that was new there, and I updated the game on B. It's a blank end in the 4th, as it'll be 1-1 tie there between Colleen Jones and Jill Brothers playing end number 5. The games on B and E, definitely important games there, as Brothers looks to keep her hopes alive there. A win by McCutcheon Driscoll in this ring could make for some interesting tiebreaker possibilities.
Even the game on C, if McAvoy wins both?
Nope. McAvoy sits at 0-5 and Teresa Breen at 1-4. So
they're both
of those are eliminated.
Playing for bragging rights.
Yeah. But the possibility there, it looks like Hilliard will, based on this, unless a significant comeback there, she would fall to 4-2. Jill Brothers currently sitting at 3-2. If she were to lose that game there, could bring upwards of 3 teams potentially into
the mix.
Tiebreaker mix.
Now for tiebreakers, I was talking to somebody down at the desk. They look at head-to-head records first, then they look at draw to the button.
Yeah, and that's how they seed. They don't eliminate based on head-to-head or draw to the button. They just seed how you're seeded.
So if you're top seed, you would get the bye to the semi, and then the second 2 seeds would get the tiebreaker. Okay.
You get the bye to the semifinal there, and then the lower 2 would have to play off. There have been interesting situations in this event where we've had upwards of 4 teams tied for playoff spot. There, where you would have 1 and 4 play and 2 and 3 play, and then raid to a tiebreaker final, and then they had to jump in and play a final tiebreaker.
Which could happen on the
semifinal on Saturday night.
That could happen on the men's side this afternoon.
That definitely could happen on the men's side.
Strong possibility of that. So Jessica throwing, I think it's her first rock. No, her second rock at the end. She's throwing a guard. They might want to come in with us a little bit, but I think they'd be happy to practice on the center line somewhere.
Yeah, they have some good positioning here, splitting the house already with the stone at the back of the 4-foot and the stone at the side of the 12. Just going to come over, sits pretty nice there. Center guard, a little bit high up there, so opportunity for a nice come-around positioning there for...
Yeah, they would have liked that a whole lot tighter to the rings. So Colleen's just going to draw down to that.
Martin Cutcliffe here. Third for Team Mattatall. Sweeper's not needing to touch it yet, waiting for it to come down now. Alcoholin jumping in.
Hoping to get it to curl.
Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, dead frozen.
Frozen at the back of the 4-foot shot stone. So on the skip stones, we see Mary McCutcheon Driscoll. We actually talked about former junior champions there. Actually, Mary, a former provincial junior champion in her own right there before moving up to the women's circuit. Won a few years ago and had a good performance at the Nationals.
She would like to follow that shot down, sit right on top of that.
Looks a little bit heavy, so calling off the sweepers. Waiting for it to come down now.
Sweepers doing that work. They've got the line, they should be okay. I don't think they got the line. They're going to freeze to their back one.
little bit of a nudge off with the blue will come to rest at the back of the 4-foot. Second shot. But a little bit of a pocket to rest into.
I think Colleen signaled she'd like this to just bite the top button. If she drives down to those, she would still leave that draw for Mary. So I think she wants to leave this top 4, or top button. Looks like the curl's been pretty consistent this week, kind of edge of the 8-foot for a draw to the button.
Pretty much, yeah. That looks like what it's been there, and it's been pretty consistent on all 4 sheets there, which credit to Tracy Froud and his crew there on making a nice consistent surface there for the players to play on.
That's twice you mentioned him now. A little hush money there coming your way to mention him.
Well, kind of supposed to.
He's behind us somewhere.
He's actually out there on
oh, he's
sheet
out on
B
the
doing
ice.
some
Yeah,
ice
he can't hear
maintenance.
us. He's not even listening. Now I curl against Tracy, Club Mixed Provincials up in Antigonish a few years ago. And they won it that year.
Yeah, Tracy's been the ice maker the past 10 years here, because he started 2010 there. Sweepers called off there from Pinckney, waiting for it to come down. Looks like it's going to be a bit
deep.
heavy. Yeah, we'll go deep to the back of the 4-foot, sitting 1-2.
Yeah, she would have liked that at the top of the button, not at the back of the button. It gives Mary an out. Mary puts one on top of that. It's going to be real tough for her to remove for Colleen.
But definitely needs to be the perfect placement, or else it could be really disastrous for the McCatton Driscoll rink. So needing good execution here from the skipper. Without the last rock.
Isn't that ice a little tighter than what she just threw in her last one? Wasn't she edge of the 8 for her first one?
She may be trying to utilize a bit of the backing there, so that could be a factor. I'm trying to remember whether Mary's out turn is a little bit straighter than the rest of the ones on the sheet. It all depends on how she releases the stone. Calling it off.
Needs to curl. Oh, she's not going to like this. Oh, no.
May have cut it down to 1 there, but it looks like it's a
relatively easy tap for 3 for Colleen right now.
Yeah, and that would really open up the scoring big time.
Seems like she took less ice, but upped her weight a little more. I don't know why that decision was made.
Probably just utilizing a bit more of the backing there, and unfortunately didn't get the curl that they had expected. Produces an opportunity here for Colleen Pinckney, the former world senior champion. Final stone end number 5. Could score upwards of 3.
Yep, she just wants kind of a back 8 weight and just tap that yellow and score her 3.
Sweeper's just dusting this one a little bit. Alco Holland jumps in there.
Now that sweeper there wants it to curl. Now they're going.
Both of them in on it.
Now it's curling a little too much on them.
Oh, that just flew.
She might. No. Oh.
That may have changed things a little bit. Definitely a shot stone belonging to.
I think she might have got the back blue. Yep.
Yeah, looks like it will be a count of 2 for Team Mary Mattatall, which will bring the scoreline to 4-1 after 5. Mary McCatton Driscoll will have the last rock in end number 6 after the break, playing the Yellowstones. So we'll take about a 5-minute break while the teams have some discussion and the ice crew do some maintenance. We'll be back after this break in about 5 minutes for second half coverage from the Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Okay, we'll be back. Sure.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay. Can I have everyone's attention? This is to do with tomorrow morning and Sunday morning. Across the street from parking, I know you were parking there most of this week. Unfortunately, the market is open on Saturday and Sundays, so you won't be able to park in that parking lot. Saturday night at 7 o'clock will be fine, but during Saturday and Sunday day games, please don't park across the street in the market parking lot. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the Dartmouth Curling Club for Draw 6 action of the 2020 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts, presented exclusively here by our 360 Live, powered by Bell 5. I'm John Seitman, here with you. Joe Baker will join back with us shortly for this match here between Mary Mattatall's rink, the NSCA affiliated team there, as they hold a 4-1 lead over Mary McKetton Driscoll through 5. And McKetton Driscoll will have the hammer in end number 6 playing the Yellowstones. We'll run down the teams there as we get started once again there. Team Mattatall, their lead is Andrea Saunier, their second is Jill Alcohol, and their third is Mark Cutcliffe, their skip is Colleen Pinckney. Team McKetton Driscoll, their lead is Caitlin Beach, their second is Bridget McPhail, their third is Jessica Daigle, and their skip is Mary McKetton Driscoll, and that team curls out of the Mayflower Curling Club. So as we get started again with the 6th end, a few well-placed stones there from Team Mattatall, back of the 4-foot, top of the 8. So as we welcome back there my broadcast colleague Joe Baker. Joe, a few thoughts of the first half of this game so far, with Team Mattatall holding a 4-1 lead over Team McKetton Driscoll.
To me, they seem to be fighting their draw weight. They seem to be heavy a lot. There's a lot of play in the back of the house, and you really don't want to play in the back of the house. You want to play in the top of the house. I think this blue that Colleen just threw was a little too deep. I think she was home for a guard.
Gets the hit, rolls over to the opposite side of the center line.
Yep, not a bad shot. She probably would like to roll a little bit further and get behind the corner. Nothing worse, you'd go to the trouble getting that corner guard up and did not get a chance to play behind it.
Yeah.
Because as a team with the hammer, you want to play on the sides. A team without the hammer, you want to play in the middle. Unless it's the skins game. Then
Yeah.
you're always in the middle.
Skins games were always one of my favorite formats there. Always like to play a little bit aggressive in that type of a format.
Is the TSN one coming up soon?
TSN one should be coming up, I believe. Usually they run it about the middle of January, just around in between the playdowns there for the men's events usually.
Now, do you know, are all the other provinces playdowns going on this week, or some of them next week?
A lot of them are running next week into early February there.
Okay.
I know one of the ones coming up, I believe it's coming up next weekend, is Ontario, and that one's going to be a big one there with Glenn Howard's rink. They're playing really well. Scott McDonald, former Dave Jones cash spiel champion, and of course
Epping.
Team Epping that are really running red hot, and of course adding Ryan Fry and Brent Lang to that lineup. That should make for an interesting Ontario event.
As for Northern Ontario, I think there's one team and one team only.
Yeah, pretty much. Will be that Team Brad Jacobs, and running red hot there. I believe they won the Canadian Open there this past weekend in Yorkton.
Yeah, I think they're 3 in a row they've won now.
Yeah, they've won a lot of events as of late there, and are looking to be major contenders for the Tim Hortons Brier.
Looking for the hit and roll on this. Looks like she has nose. Maybe get the double? No. This is more to Colleen's advantage the further and further this goes out. She would like to hit this inside nose and roll a little bit towards the center line. She doesn't want to move that back blue at all. Club level with this shot, you try to remove that, guaranteed you know what you're going to do. You're going to nose it and you're going to jam it on that back blue.
Of course.
This skill level, they don't make that mistake as often. So we're going to get you back playing soon?
Hopefully, my plan there now that I get into the working world coming up soon there, I'm hoping to make a return. I had a few pretty good years there of under 18 curling before jumping into the world, the academic world there.
Yeah, we seem to lose a lot of curlers, like they finish their high school. Unless they're the super competitive level, they kind of, at university,
Yeah,
they
the
don't
ones that
curl
go up
that
to
much.
like under 21 and like AUS level curling there.
Yeah, you don't see them till they get. You don't see them again until they get in their late 20s.
Unfortunately, I kind of jokingly say there that I probably ended up leaving my playing career in my prime there, because my last year of under 18s, we finished 8th place in the province in a field of 22 teams.
That's not bad.
There, we had the win over Justin Gray, who we talked about earlier, and then I ended up that the very next draw we had to play 8 a.m. the next morning. Our opponents was a team skipped by Jake Fleming, who his dad Paul Fleming is in the Deloitte Tankard, and ended up 7-6. Defeated him, and who did we have to come up against? Adam Cox.
Where was that at?
That was at the Truro Curling Club there a few years ago. Yeah, Jake and I had a pretty good rivalry that year. Mark gets a hit, rolls over to the side.
I think for those looking for a club level Bondsfield, Truro does host a mixed spiel sometime in February. Might be full now, I'm not sure. Randy DeGrasse in Truro would be the person to talk to on that one. A lot of good club spiels coming up. Have you ever heard of the Hector?
I've heard of the Hector. I haven't gotten to play it there.
It's an interesting experience because there's 4 clubs up there, and you bounce around the whole weekend playing at different clubs. So good luck on trying to learn the ice because every rink is different. Rumor has it, I can't attest to it because I don't know, that the speed of the ice in the Pictou Club, I forget the name of it, the Caledonia, is based on the tide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Where the tide is it will change the speed of the ice.
Wow.
That's the rumor going around. I don't know if it's true or they just say that just to mess with our heads as like visiting curlers, but yeah, they say the tide.
Yeah.
Stellarton's always a little heavy. Not Stellarton, Westville. Stellarton's an interesting club that they have a very small membership.
Sweeper's working on this one here.
Yeah, it looks like a nice shot here.
McPhail draws behind the guard. Well done.
Stellarton, I heard, has 40 members to run the club. It's like downtown Stellarton. And I think every one of them is a volunteer at the club because that's the only way they could operate.
Oh, of course.
But it's a fun experience. If you ever get the chance, definitely go to the Hector.
I know one of the events that I always enjoyed as a junior curler there. Of course, juniors have a lot of event opportunities there. Is actually an event held at your guys' club there, the Polar Express tournament that the juniors have toward Christmas time in December. I was one of those few ones there that ended up curling 2 years as a bit of an overager when teams needed a replacement player at the last minute there. Paul Fleming had me come in and join up.
Nice shot by Colleen. Bumped that a little bit. Bump it back to third shot. Mary's now looking at the double. Sit 2. It's interesting. The Polar Express, as a senior, we don't really have much to do with the juniors at Mayflower, but we have a social event in December, Christmas karaoke we call it, and we have basically members come out and get to sing Christmas songs and other songs and have a good night. Well, Andrew, my partner, and I had to do a sound check on our wives. We're doing our sound check for that event around 6 o'clock on the Friday night because the event was going to start around 8:30. And the juniors were playing, and there was a lot of younger kids in the lounge over at Mayflower.
Of course.
Well, we did a sound check, Well, next thing you know, the kids want up and they want to sing.
Of course.
Right? Well, we couldn't get them off the microphone. It's like it's 7 o'clock. We're up there now. We're just letting the kids sing. It's like, we got to go have some supper. Right? So we're looking at having a junior karaoke at an event one of these years because they were having a ball. I felt bad leaving, but it's like, okay, we're going to have a long night. We have to get food.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was one of those events there there was one year I was actually pretty fortunate there when I was playing as an overager there to I ended up making the final. I don't know how I did it because somehow I managed that every illness there that I could have contracted there during the course of the weekend all happened to hit me. It ended up there were the semifinals and the finals. They actually had to haul me off after 4 ends there and replace me with a fifth player there because it was just that bad, but managed to persevere through somehow. On to skip stones here, Colleen Pinkney.
I think she wants to hit this inside nose or outside nose on the center line side and probably sit 2. Oh no, she wants to hit the umpire. Wrong, she's on the other. She wants to double. Pick this and roll towards the other yellow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
We'll get her own.
No, that's not good. That's not the result she wanted there.
Yeah,
She was
probably needed that little bit more curl.
Yes. She had to catch it pretty thick to get that roll towards that other yellow.
We'll let you know there as Mary and Jessica had discussed it. This call, their update of the games that we were watching for potential for tiebreakers on Sheet B. It is a team Colleen Jones with a 2-1 lead over Jill Brothers after a single in end number 5. Team Brothers has the last rock in 6, and it was a big count of 3 for Tanya Hilliard to open up her accounts on this Friday morning, but still trails Marianne Arsenault by a score of 6-3.
They would like to draw this right behind that tight corner guard on the left-hand side of the sheet. They don't have to fully bury this, but half buried would be nice.
Yeah, it would set the possibility of a good multiple to get back in this matchup. Sweepers working on this one here. Veach and McPhail.
I'm thinking they want curl right now. The weight looks good, but they wanted that to curl.
Got to be careful not to set up any double there. It looks like they're...
It's a flat double, but it is there.
It's definitely one that we've seen Colleen Pinkney make many times before.
So in our Jones Brothers game, I don't know if we updated, but they just scored, Brothers scored 1 in the 6th. So that game's all tied up 2-2.
Yeah, that's definitely a big game there for Colleen Jones because the former world champion holding a 5-0 record. If she wins this game, would earn a bye to Sunday's final and would be 1 win away from returning to the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. I believe that would probably be, I would not hazard a guess, would be a record for her if she makes a return to the Scotties there, because she's been there at least more than 20 times there for sure. Since the 80s there at least.
Check your phone.
I'm looking it up.
Look it up. Google it. So Mary's last rock, Colleen made a hit and roll. I don't know if that's what she wanted, but she got the hit and roll behind cover, so...
Okay, there you go. It would be her, if she were to win and make an appearance at the Scotties, it would be her 22nd.
Wow.
Won their first appearance in 1979, but last title in this event in 2013. Final stone here in end number 6.
And she wants full 8. Score her deuce. Sweepers look like they're liking it. Mark thinks Mark's going to go on it. I think they're going to be good. Oh.
Looks like it's going to go that little bit too far. It will be a count of 1 for Mary McKetton Driscoll, which makes the score 4-2 after 6, and Team Mattatall will have the last rock in end number 7 playing the Blue Stones.
It's always tough, a shot like that, because you're trying to be exacting with it, but you throw that a little lighter, put the sweepers into it, and it's a whole lot easier shot to make. But as the thrower, it's hard to tout yourself that, because you want to make that shot, and you don't want to have to make your people sweep if they don't have to.
Oh, well, it's one of those ones that like, when I think back to it, I think of Brad Gushu when he won his Tim Hortons Brier title in St. John's. The first thing that Brett Gallant told him is that it was 12 feet heavier than it has been all week.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones that just happen to trust your sweepers, because, yes, you know that they know the ice a little bit, but you don't want to be the one missing it.
Yeah.
A shot as big as that to maybe even win a Tim Hortons Brier title.
Yeah, it's always a little discouraging to the team when you throw that last rock in your heavy and nobody's touched it. So it's all the skips. It's all the skip's fault.
Oh,
as a skip, it's like you throw it heavy. But then on the other hand, is when you throw something good and they don't pick it up till like 2/3 of the way down the sheet, and then you come up light. It's like, okay, that wasn't the skip's fault. But that's the game we play, people.
Oh, 100%.
All right. So updating this game on sheet E, the one we're kind of paying a close eye to. Marianne Arsenault scored a 2 in the 6th, so she's now up 8-3, playing in the 7th end.
So looking like Marianne could jump up to a record of 5-1.
Now, who did she lose to, Marianne? She lost to Colleen? I think that's
well,
you.
let's check our trusty.
I got my phone in front of me too. Let me check that.
I know that was earlier in the week there. Oh, that would be in the other book. Oops.
There's some of the books they wrote.
She actually lost to Mary McKetton Driscoll there. That was during draw 2 of this event.
So are they playing tonight, Colleen? And I have to check the schedule now.
Yeah, Arsenault will play Jones in round 7.
That's a meaningful game tonight, people. 7 o'clock tonight here at the Dartmouth Curling Club.
That could be to decide who gets to bye to the final there, depending on how things go. Still a long way to go there. If Jones does win this game there against Jill Brothers over on B, that would solidify her spot in the final. Oh, and that's going to be a feature game.
Yeah, it wouldn't solidify the spot though.
Oh, it wouldn't?
Because, well, she's got to win this.
Well, she's got to win this. If she wins this, she has the spot. If she loses this one to Jill Brothers, it opens up a whole can of worms.
Because she would be 6-0. Marianne would be 5. No, she still wouldn't clinch because Marianne wins.
6-1. Yeah.
Marianne would be 6-1, and it'd be based on the head-to-head matchup tonight to decide first place.
Yeah. And for our viewers that will be on our live streaming, as it will be on sheet C, coming up at 7 o'clock Atlantic time.
There's some big games today here at the Dartmouth Curling Club.
I kind of like how it always seems to be that way there. I know nobody would ever admit it, but they kind of they know which matchups people want to see at the end of the round robin.
Is it done on purpose? I don't know. Your big marquee games are the last day.
Like, what a coincidence that it happens that Stuart Thompson versus Jamie Murphy happens to be the final round. So as we get back to this game here, Jill Alcoholin looking for the hit. Will get there, rolls over to the opposite side.
Yeah, if this end's setting up nicely for Colleen. Pink need the Mattatall team. No guards. 2 clubs spreading the house. They would probably like to roll this over more towards that other club, other rock. It's to the advantage of the team without the hammer to have the rocks closer together and an end like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Now Colleen wants to roll. She wouldn't be upset if she rolled right, just had a biter right now.
Sonia working on this one here from Alco Holland.
It's interesting, the communication level at this competitive level is so much better than what's at the club level. Like that signal, if you was watching that rock in place, the sweeper signaled that the rock was up, but the skip seen that the rock was curling was inside, so kind of overruled it. But because of that communication, they were able to make that shot.
Oh, 100%.
Right. At the club level, we don't tend to communicate as well. Like not letting them know skip that rock was heavy.
The thing that I always love to see, especially at this level, is simply the fact that they're always talking and you always have the information going. It was always my number one philosophy on my team was if you're not talking, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Like
there should be constant talk out there between.
Yeah, be able to get the information, because if you had the information that little bit too late, that could be the difference between a win and a loss. Daigle here gets a hit, rolls over.
Yeah, not a bad shot. Would have liked to roll it the other way, but this will work. Again, Colleen wants to roll this out towards the edge to the 12-foot. Separate those rocks as much as possible. Yeah, even at the club level, it's a sweeper sometimes don't pay attention to what the call is. And it's like, how do you sweep it right if you don't know what the call is? Right. I always make a point of when I'm making the call as a skip to make sure that my sweepers see the call as well. That's not bad. Just a tiny roll inside, but good separation on those two rocks. Again, Murray's going to want to try to hit this and roll over towards the other blue.
So Daigle with her second and two in this end, number 7.
So Jessica just moved here from New Brunswick, I think I was told.
I believe so. I may be wrong, but I think she...
It's her first year playing here?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who she played with, because I remember she's a former... she's won the junior title in there. When in doubt, go to trusty Google.
I tried watching the broadcast on our phones, but it's a delay, so I gave up on that. So she has the nose. Yep, nice shot. Is a tough double here.
Yeah, definitely tough. The angles.
Definitely tough. But she wants to roll over that way.
They're there, though.
Yeah, it is there. I think she'd be happy if she just rolled over, sat near that. She'd be pleased with that shot.
Okay, Jessica was a long-time skip there for New Brunswick. Actually, skipped New Brunswick at the Canadian Juniors back in 13 and 14.
Okay.
Of which, if I remember correctly, Mary played in that 2013 championship representing the province of Nova Scotia.
Okay. I think Jessica's his physiotherapist, if I remember correctly, out in Bedford, I think.
On the skip zones here, Mary McCutton Driscoll needs to curl a little bit more here, get a bit of it. Will sail right by.
Yeah, where do you put this? Marg likes sitting in front of her blue over in the 12-foot. Colleen's sitting for the edge of the 4-foot. You do not want it behind the tee line.
Oh, 100%.
That's the last place you want to go is behind the tee. What seems like a simple shot is really difficult. It's like, where do you
100%.
exactly want to put this? If we leave it too high, they might come around it on us.
And you see, that's the difference I find with a curling at the club level versus at this level, is that something so simple like this, you could expect a potential for more misses there at the club level type thing, but you have to be just that little bit more precise when it's up at this level with this high skill of teams going for the possibility of heading on to the national championship.
Yeah, and these guys are so experienced. They know the best place to put this rock. I think I would like it biting the 8, sitting on kind of like that 4-foot line.
I would agree with you for sure.
I think that's where I would like it. I think that's where Colleen likes it. Marg would like it in front of the other rock. Because looking by the line, they're going for where I want to put it.
Yeah, looks like it.
Don't want it too deep, though. Yeah, it's probably about 2 feet too deep. Mary has an out now. She can draw down to that, sit on top of it, be shot, and try to force Colleen just to take the 1.
Update quickly as we see Mary McKetton and Driscoll head to the hack. A blank end in the matchup between Jill Brothers and Colleen Jones. So Team Jones retains a 2-2 tie against the defending champions, Team Brothers, through 7 ends of play, and Team Jones will have the last rock in 8.
That's a low-scoring game over there.
Yep, looks like it's been a pretty defensive-style game over there. Lots of pretty clean houses. I know Colleen's a broadcast colleague at the CBC, Devin Haru, would particularly love that. He always keeps talking on his Twitter about clean houses.
Well, that's not what Mary wanted there. A little too heavy, bounce it now. It's a hit on the nose for 4 for Colleen.
And that could be
handshakes.
That could be handshakes easily there. Because with a score of 8-2 there, that would really be very tough to come back from.
So you're back tonight, John?
I am back this afternoon. This afternoon I will be over on sheet C as we have the matchup between Chad Stevens and Kendall Thompson.
Another important game.
Yeah.
I'm on sheet D with the Stuart Thompson Jamie Murphy game. So excited that I got that game. It was like I was excited when I saw this guy. Oh, I have that game. I actually know most of the guys too, which is it's always nice when you know the players.
Sweeper's working on this one, just dusting it in. It will be a count of 4.
Count of 4.
And it will be handshakes. So make the final a score of 8-2 in favor of Mary Mattatall's rink. Mattatall will extend her record to their record to 2-4. McKetton Driscoll will fall to 2-4. So as we just finish up, any final thoughts there, Joe, as we sign off from this draw 6?
Pretty well curled game. I think they had weight issues. I really do. They didn't seem to have that draw weight. Everything they went was just a tad heavy. Colleen's team got their draw weight probably a little quicker than the other team, than the Driscoll team, and I think that's what cost them. They didn't have that draw weight. Even at that last shot of Mary, she's 2 feet heavy, gets the bounce. So she goes from stealing 1 to giving up 4. So
yeah, so we'll see how these two teams do making the adjustment for this evening's action. They will play one more game. 4 losses. They will not. It likely have a chance to
Yeah.
advance. So playing for Pride in draw 7 coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. So as Joe mentioned there this afternoon on this sheet, it will be a big one. It will be Stuart Thompson versus Jamie Murphy. So till we talk to you again, on behalf of our crew behind the scenes at 360 Live, powered by Bell 5, and on behalf of my broadcast colleague Joe Baker, I'm John Seitman saying so long from the Dartmouth Curling Club. Alrighty.
Don't get paid by the end.
Yeah.
Don't get paid for overtime either.
Well, if I got paid by the end there, I would be a very poor person there, because I've only had one game go overtime.
Yeah.
We were from Mary's team.
Yeah.
I think we were nice to them. We were nice. We were gentle.
You were good. Yeah, no, it's great. A couple times you had to laugh.
I have a tendency to drift away from the game. But that's all right.
100%.
I have a tendency to drift away, but the people want to be entertained. They just don't
I
want
think I was listening to you the other day. Mary Sue. That was
We've had a blast.
yeah. And so last night I was listening to her and her daughter.
When they brought it out of Mary Sue, she was one of them was in reserve when they first started.
Oh, they were really.
But they were like-
backing it up.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they were having a great time. They were wondering who was taller, McDermott or Lenny. It's just like, it just cracked.